In this video, we're gonna build an entire Sims house just so I can do some pretty landscaping. I don't know what it is, but there is something about landscaping in this game that is just so much fun to me. Specifically landscaping with the cottage living debug plants. Something changed for me the day that pack was released. I know you've probably seen all this before, but I'll show you what I mean real quick. It takes a couple of cheats to get in there, but cottage living debug has some of the absolute best landscaping in the entire game. There's like little wildflowers, the cat agrees. They've got this little tiny cluster of mushrooms, even like these sort of bigger bushes with some simpler flowers on them. And the trees, there are so many really nice debug trees. I like these two in particular. I don't really understand why this stuff is in debug and not just like in the build mode catalog. I think that was kind of a mistake on their part to not make them as real items, especially because think about how many players have no clue what debug means or how to access it. This stuff is inaccessible to the vast majority of people who play The Sims 4. But anyway, that is the inspiration behind this build. I'm thinking I'll make a little springy cottage in Windenburg, but that's enough talking about plants. Let's get into the actual speed build and I'll kind of walk you through what I've built. So right now we're on a 30 by 20 lot in like the countryside of Windenburg. That's the world that comes with Get Together. And this lot usually has a starter home on it. I just bulldozed that starter home to make this instead. And the house itself is kind of small. It's gonna have a couple of bedrooms. We're gonna have kind of a cozy little sunroom vibe. I'm gonna add a greenhouse into the yard. When I'm building in The Sims, sometimes I'm like really into the interior and I'm like so excited to decorate the inside. Other times I only care about the exterior. And this is one of those times where the exterior was like way more fun for me. And it's not that the interior is bad or like not fun, because I loved doing the interior. I was just so excited about the plants. That is really the theme of this video. But you'll see that we're gonna spend more than half of it working on the outside. The whole thing kind of has a cutesy pastel sort of vibe to it as well. It's like very yellow and pink and light blue everywhere. And I did kind of like a classic Simsy shape with the outside of this house. I've got like a typical little secret dormer, secret upstairs, but it's got like some kind of cutesy curved roof pieces. I was trying to figure out if I wanted to put a chimney and like where I would put it, because I love when they have houses like this that have the chimney right in the front. I think it's such a cool feature and it gives you like a nice accent color of some brick or some stone. But on this house, I didn't think it quite worked, so I didn't do it. Also, it's got kind of an interesting layout because the lot is quite wide instead of being like long. So we have a side yard instead of a backyard. So we've got like this nice exit of the house on the right side instead of being like a back porch. There's a little skinny section in the back. So what I ended up doing is having like a small patio for the Sims to have like their grill and their table right directly behind the house. And then the side yard has like the farm and the garden. I guess farm is the wrong word. I think farm kind of implies that it's like really big and growing a lot of crops. This one is not like that. It's more like a home garden, small home garden type of energy. They do have a greenhouse though. They also have a chicken coop on this lot. So it's like small scale farming, more attainable farming. Sometimes I'll build these lots that are like 64 by 64. They've got a million crops. They've got like 20 chickens. This is not one of those. This is like they have 2 chickens and a couple of plants growing in their backyard. You could live here and have your Sims have another regular job at the same time. You don't have to live here and be only a farmer. Now, when I was first trying to figure out the windows, I did have this like little moment of panic about it becoming a blue Suburban. I'm always like hyper aware of the blue Suburban accusations because I know everyone thinks my houses are always blue. But like in this case, for example, this is not my fault. This is EA's fault because I wanted to use those cottage living windows and I wanted them to have a pastel swatch for the shutters. My options were all either dark wood, sort of like dark, deep jewel tone type colors, or lime green. And I didn't really want it to be lime green, so I got left with pastel blue. So the shutters are blue, but I swear the house is not blue. It's also not a suburban. It is a pastel cottage that happens to have blue windows. Okay, but moving inside for a second, we're kind of working on the floor plan, and you can see how it's really small up here. It's gonna be 2 bedrooms, kind of weird shaped bedrooms, plus 1 bathroom upstairs. And then downstairs, I have 1 extra bedroom. There's gonna be an art studio, and then kind of a small little living space. I had a little bit of trouble with the floor plan of this one because it's just kind of weird with the sunroom and like the stair placement. So I went back and forth and I changed it a few times. If you struggle with floor plans, don't worry, you are not alone. Sometimes the floor plan comes together so easily and like it just works and it's fine. Other times the floor plan is near impossible and it takes so much trial and error to get it to make sense. Okay, and real quick, I just want to address address the elephant in the room because there was a Sims expansion pack leak last week. I usually try real hard to avoid these things because I just don't really like to know about them before they get announced because I really enjoy watching the trailers and like reacting and learning about it and seeing it for the first time. I'm usually okay hearing like a pack's name or something, but I don't really want to know a feature list or like what's coming in the pack until I've seen the trailer. Well, the name of a pack leaked last week. And I guess that's not really a surprise because this happens every single time. Like without fail, a few weeks before the trailer comes out, the pack name leaks. And it's usually because I think, and this is a guess, but I think as they're like gearing up to release the trailer and like start pre-orders, they're starting to send out information to retailers because the pre-orders are going to start soon. And as the retailers are getting information, then the pack name is starting to leak. I know some people think the Sims team does it on purpose. I honestly don't believe that because I just think that leaks usually end bad for them. Like I don't really see a benefit to them ever leaking anything intentionally, but that's why it keeps consistently happening. And it happens like clockwork on a schedule. And we always get an expansion pack in July. Every single year, there is always an expansion pack in July. So a pack leaking like a month and a half before July kind of makes sense. Like, yep, that kind of checks out. The leaked pack name is Enchanted by Nature, and that's all I have seen from it. I think some more stuff might have leaked. I'm not sure if it was true or not. This name might not even be true, but like, you know, last year Life and Death's name leaked. Guess what? That was correct. So I feel like it probably is real. And there's a lot of talk about fairies. Okay, like everybody is thinking this might be the time we finally get fairies. I sort of feel conflicted about that because I always expected that if and when we got fairies, they would come in a game pack. That just feels like the standard for them, like with werewolves and vampires coming out in game packs. Obviously, we got mermaids in Island Living, but they were way worse than regular occults because they were kind of like an afterthought inside of Island Living. We got aliens and Get to Work, but they are also way worse because they're not like a main feature of the pack. It's kind of like a little side thing. So both aliens and mermaids are objectively less good occults because they don't have like the whole big skill tree and everything. But then we got this massive ghost overhaul in Life and Death, and the ghosts have a skill tree. So that does feel a little bit more promising to me about the possibility of fairies being in an expansion pack. But ghosts are also easier because ghosts already exist. They just improved upon the existing thing inside of a pack. And I'm not really a big occult person. Like, you know, I never play with vampires or werewolves. So I don't really feel like for me personally, I'm that thrilled about the idea of getting a fairy pack, but I understand that everybody else is. Like, the community has been wanting this so bad for so long. So if it is true, people are gonna be thrilled. The name Enchanted by Nature feels very outdoorsy, cottagey. That seems like something I will like. And obviously fairies won't be the only feature. I'm guessing it would be like Life and Death where ghosts are part of it, but it's not like the whole thing is about being a ghost. So my assumption is this pack would have like fairies as a part of it, but it's not like the whole thing is about being a fairy. Or like with Island Living, mermaids are a part of it, but the whole thing's not about being a mermaid. Island Living's a bad example because that pack is kind of bad. The pack is kind of lacking in gameplay. But I have kind of gotten myself into a pickle here, okay? Because this house, I built it on April 19th. I built this one a while ago, over a month ago, and what did I call it on the gallery? Fairytale Cottage. I just did this big unpaused stream where I left my Sims game unpaused and running overnight by itself. Who did I include in the household? A fake fairy sim. And that wasn't even my idea. It was my Twitch chat's idea. They were like, you should make a sim that's wearing the fairy costume from the spooky stuff pack. Because everybody in the house was in costumes. I had like a clown costume, the hot dog costume. I was using like only costumes for this big stream that I was doing. And one of the sims was a spellcaster that I named Fairy Princess. And I like dressed her in the fairy costume. And then less than a week later, this potential fairy pack leaks. It looks like I'm in on some secret. I promise. I swear to you, I did not know about this. I am not involved in it. Like this was just like a coincidence of timing. And this could have happened at any time. Like we've been making jokes about fairies. The whole community has been making jokes about fairies for like multiple years in a row. I have built probably like a dozen fairy cottages in the last few years. So like if this had happened, you know, last year, it might have been right after I posted a video like this too. And it just would have been a coincidence as well. Every single one of us could sit here and be like, oh my God, we predicted fairies fairies just because we've been talking about it so much. Like, the Sims team knows that the community wants this. That's why they're making it, because everybody nonstop talks about it. And I know I seem like a liar because I did know about growing together in advance, okay? Fine, sure. But like, I was involved with making the builds for that pack. I promise you I was not involved in this one. I don't know anything about this one. So this is not me confirming some sort of fairy pack, okay? I'm just trying to make that clear. Fairytale cottage, fairytale, not fairy. Fairy tale is what this build is supposed to be. But anyway, I'm still working on the landscaping, as you can see. It's been quite a process to put all these plants together. I've got a ton of ivy and like pretty flowers going up the sides of the build. I've got flowers everywhere outside. I spent way too long doing this. If you happen to be in my live stream when I like actually built this live last month, I just want to apologize because I think I probably spent like 2 hours doing plants in real time. But it comes together so beautifully. Like, I think all of the flowers together make it look so colorful and so pretty. The house itself is just white. Like, it's not like very bright or vibrant on the building, but all of the plants around it are what makes it. And I know it seems like I'm jumping around and like moving the camera around a ton, but that's because when I was doing this, it sort of helps me to do one kind of plant at a time. So I put all the low-lying plants in, then I put like the pink rose bushes in, then I put some of the romantic garden stuff bushes in, and I slowly just tried to go through and fill everything in. I also, every time I landscape a house like this that has so many plants, I always notice empty spots, almost like bald spots when I'm going back through it, because I think I finished landscaping and then like, oops, there's one more spot that I didn't completely fill in. So it just takes a while to make sure the whole place looks done and complete properly. I did add a couple of extra things like the flock of wild birds and the little rabbit stump that come from cottage living. So if you play here, you can like befriend a rabbit and befriend some birds. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm just looking inside for the first time. The floor plan, the furniture that I have placed in there is horrendous. Oh, again, that is just temporary. I'm gonna get rid of it. It with like that horrible rug and the kids' chairs is just not selling it. But once we get inside, we'll redo everything. I have to put some finishing touches out here first, like some planter boxes and stuff, and then we can go look at the interior. I can't get over how much I like all of the greenery that's growing on the outside of the building. The greenery that I'm using there is a mixture of Discover University debug and also cottage living. And the cottage living stuff actually isn't even debug. The ivy is just in the build mode category. The stuff from university is in debug. Yet again, one of those times that I wish they would just give us this stuff in the regular build catalog. There's a lot of debug items that I'm like, we don't, this can stay in debug, right? But when it comes to landscaping and like cool decorative stuff, I wish they would make it as a real proper item. Now, this is not advisable, okay? But right now I am doing the terrain paint. Normally, I never do terrain paint mid-build. I always do it at the very end because I do not trust The Sims 4 to not delete it. I have had so many terrain paint bugs. If you haven't had terrain paint bugs, I am so happy for you. Like, truly, count your lucky stars because I have so many issues with terrain paint in The Sims 4. So I always do it last because I just don't trust that I'm not gonna do it and then my game will delete it all and I'll have to do it again. But in this case, I was so excited about it that I just wanted to do it straight away so I could see what the place would look like when it was finished outside. And we are officially more than halfway through the build and we have not put a single piece of real furniture on the inside. So I tried to warn you about that one, but we're just about done with this part. So we'll be going back in a second. I'm just putting some little last minute things like some wildflowers because I like that landscaping as like ways to fill in the other empty parts of the lot and also make the area outside of the lot look like it blends in. Because some of those debug wildflowers are so big that you can scoot them off the edge of the lot, so it's like half on and half off, and then it kind of like helps to blend the space together. I don't know if that makes sense because I'm not actually showing it to you right now because I like zoomed away from it so fast. I guess that is a perk of debug too, because they have these wildflowers that are honestly probably like 7 tiles by 7 tiles, like huge set of space, but the game's footprint only thinks it's 1 by 1. So you can place it on just that 1 by 1 tile, but it looks like it takes up all this room, and then it can be halfway off the lot. But anyway, we're actually going inside and we're gonna start decorating the kitchen first. And this is where that sort of pastel color scheme comes in. I'm using the yellow cottage living kitchen set and also the pink appliances in here. I wasn't sure if I liked it because the yellow cabinets have the blue accents, but I wanted to have pink so bad. So I went back and forth a lot with the color scheme of the kitchen. You'll see me like change it and then change it again and then change it back. Sometimes when this happens to me, I'm like, you know what? Just let it sit there. I'm gonna do like a different part of the room. So in this case, I started doing the dining table because sometimes it helps me to just stop looking at it because I'll sit here and get so stressed and so nervous about this one little thing. I'm like changing my mind about the color of the fridge over and over, and it's really not that deep. So I was like, okay, Caleb, pause. Just place a dining table down, and maybe once you have some more furniture in the room, you'll have a better idea of what you want it to look like. I did use the little pastel pink chairs from Cottage Living around that table. They've got little tiny polka dots. And then I used the light blue sofa from Cottage Living. I went back and forth a lot with the layout of the living room too, because it's just like slightly too small to fit that sofa and a fireplace. So what I really wanted to do was have the fireplace to the right and have the TV in front of the window. I liked the idea of having both instead of having the TV like on top of the fireplace. I thought it would be kind of cute and cozy, but you can see the rug doesn't quite fit. And then you also need to have space for your Sims to walk into that area. So that kind of complicates things too. So I changed my mind a lot about this. I was like making it off center. I was like moving it around. It was a whole thing. This is one of those times also where like, if you watched me do this live, I'm sorry. Orienting it the other way, I didn't like so much because it was getting a little bit too close to the dining table. So I tried a lot of things. I wanted it to look good really bad. And I ended up settling on it's okay if it's ever so slightly off center. Like I think it being slightly off center is fine. But if I point that out to you and it bothers you, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry if I've caused you stress by saying that. The only thing that I'm not super sure about in this room is the color of those yellow chairs. Those chairs are from Discover University and I feel like they have a little bit of a green undertone to them. So I don't really love how they look in there. I tried really hard to make them work because I wanted to have the yellow accent, but there's something about them. I think maybe it's because of the shadows. They're like a little bit darker or something on the backs. I don't know. I don't love those chairs. I don't like them in almost any swatch either, but they do come in a lot of nice pastel colors. There's a matching 3 tile wide couch from University as well. University has a real weird collection of build mode. They have a couple of like really fancy kind of formal things like that. And then they also have a ton of IKEA style stuff, which makes sense because they're trying to have like this cool University of Brightchester like fancy vibe. And then they also want to have like dorm type of furniture, but it does make for a really weird mix when you're looking through the build mode in that pack. Next, we're putting in a couple bits of kitchen clutter. I also put that kind of cute shelf directly underneath the window by the back door. I've never really done that before, put like a shelf under a window instead of a table, but it was kind of a tight squeeze. So I thought the shelf might be a better idea just because it kind of fit a little bit easier, and then we could use it like a side table without actually taking up the amount of space that a side table usually would. I got some nice clutter on the mantle. I put some books and stuff on the coffee table, and this honestly uses like probably way too many packs. I did not exactly limit myself in this build. I think the main one obviously is Cottage Living. That's pretty much everywhere. It's got quite a bit of University. The Blooming Rooms, the Greenhouse Haven kit I used quite a lot also. And then like probably a million other random kits just around because I can't help myself. This next room that we're doing is the hallway. It's kind of like this little small entryway. There's not a lot of rooms in this house, so we kind of have like one big living space that we just did, and then this part is the entryway. I really didn't love the shape of this. I felt like it was kind of a waste of space to have this much hallway. So I ended up adding in like a little table desk nook off to the corner. I don't really like that so much because I think in real life I wouldn't like to have my desk right by the front door in this way, but it is what it is. It fit right here. It's nice to have access to a computer. So I used the Cottage Living typewriter, and then I put this little table with a shelf above it, and I put the rotary phone. That item we got as a reward item from the holiday event, or no, from the like Sims birthday event they just did a couple months ago. Oh, I wonder if we're due for another event sometime soon, because they did one around the like release of the expansion pack for Life and Death. When was the one after that? They had like the Halloween one, the Christmas one, and then the birthday one, but the birthday one was right around the same time as Businesses and Hobbies came out. So I wonder if they will do one again for like this new pack that's coming out in July. I hope so, because I like when they give us free stuff like that. They ended up extending the birthday one like multiple weeks past when they said it was originally going to end, which makes me wonder if it wasn't as successful as they thought it was going to be. Like if they kept extending it, do you think that was because people weren't playing it enough? Because they surely have data on that, so they probably know. I don't think they would just do that out of the goodness of their hearts for no reason, but maybe I'm being too cynical about it. I would really love to know that. There's so much data about The Sims that I would just kill to have. I want to know what the best-selling packs are. I want like pre-order statistics on packs. I would love to have that information. I know that we can kind of guesstimate it by like asking our communities, and like James Turner has done those surveys and stuff, but it's not quite the same, because the kind of person who is likely to answer one of those surveys is the kind of person that watches Sims content on YouTube, which obviously obviously is inherently a person who's more likely to play those special events, who's probably more likely to pre-order a pack than like the average person. I want the data on the average person. I want to know about the people who aren't watching this kind of video, but they'll never tell us that, which is very sad. Anyway, we're decorating the upstairs bedrooms now. These are really quite small, so they came together pretty quickly. I first did a little nursery that's kind of just like green themed. And then this room is like a little pink kids room. And the bed in here is from Seasons. This is a Seasons single tile canopy bed. And I gotta be honest, I totally forget this thing exists. Most of the swatches are a little bit, I don't wanna call them weird, but there are some color swatches on that bed that I don't love very much. But most of them are okay. They've got this pretty white one with just the pink canopies, and they also have a blue bed that has like a pink floral canopy. And it's really nice, and it's honestly kind of an expensive, like good quality bed too. So I need to be better about using that one, because it's one of those that I just sort of like don't even remember is in the game. There are so many items in this game that I kind of just forget even exist, and that's silly because I play The Sims literally every single day. So if there are items that I'm not using, I'm sat here complaining about not having enough beds. Meanwhile, I've got this great Seasons bed that I haven't used for years. So I tried to use that in the upstairs bedroom. And then this little downstairs part becomes the primary bedroom. This one I used the cottage living bed, which is one of my favorite beds in the entire game. This swatch in particular too, I love the little floral print. I would have that in real life. I used a blue wallpaper. We've got kind of a cute get-together dresser off in front of it. It's a little bit of a weird shape in here, and I also don't really like that there's a door accessible only through this room. But thankfully it's not the only outdoor door in this house. They've got like a little side door back there so you can access the side yard from the primary bedroom. Sometimes when I make small houses like this, the only outdoor access ends up being in the primary bedroom, and I don't love that. I always kind of go back and forth because part of me is like, oh, it would be so nice to have access to the patio from the primary bedroom. But also, if everybody has to go through the bedroom to get to the patio, that stinks. Imagine you're having a party and all your guests are gonna go like sit outside and eat like something that you've grilled, and every single person has to walk through your bedroom to get out there. I don't know about you, but like when people come over to my house, I like hide the stuff I don't want them to see inside of my bedroom. You know, it's like, quick, there's some clutter. Put it in the bedroom and close the door. Or even more so, my cats hide themselves in my bedroom. One of my cats, Shrimp, is kind of scared of strangers. He's not a very like social cat to people that are not me and Dan. So usually when people come over, he hides in my room, like in the blankets in my bed, which is really sad, and I feel bad for him, but is also really cute. So if people had to go through our bedroom to get to the patio, he would not like that. He would not enjoy that. But anyway, this last room that we're doing, it's like the sunroom art studio floral arranging table games room. Like this is kind of like a catch-all skill building type of room. Started off as a sunroom, and it started off kind of as a games room. I always am inspired by my grandma's place because she always had this like little table that was right in front of some big windows that we always played cards at. My whole life growing up, whenever I see like a table in front of windows, I'm like, oh my God, cards with my grandma. So this room was heavily inspired by that. And then I kind of started adding extra things like a bookshelf and a reading chair and the floral arranging table from Seasons and like all of that extra stuff. And then it just kind of became like a catch-all skill room. But it is nice to have that sort of thing when you're playing The Sims, so it's not bad. It is a bit tight, but it all fits and it looks cute. There's even an easel and some canvases in here. I put a guitar in the house. I've got like some more little decor underneath this picture frame. This is the room that I would like to most hang out in. I love the idea of this sort of room with like the windows around all sides. But with that, we're pretty much wrapping up the build here. We're just putting some last minute touches. I'm gonna go through and add a couple things like some like crops in the backyard. We'll decorate the greenhouse. In this greenhouse room, I used a lot of stuff from the Greenhouse Haven kit, obviously, but we have some of the base game plant pots around here and like a few little clutter items and stuff. As far as I'm aware, those 2x2 planters are still broken. So for that, I apologize. They've been glitched for a little while now, but fingers crossed they come back and they get fixed. I haven't really been having trouble with them, but I know a lot of people have been. Your Sims like won't water the crops that are inside of them. The gardening skill, no matter what, is like so messed up. And oh my God, I'm thinking about this more now. If this pack, this like Enchanted by Nature pack is real, there's probably gonna be a bunch of gardening stuff in this too. Oh my God, what if it gets worse? There's more things for us to worry about with the gardening skill. Maybe they'll finally fix it. Maybe the major base game update pre-pack release this time is just like a fix of the gardening skill. The trouble is they fix something and then something else breaks with it. And it has been happening like that for years, like since Seasons came out. And Seasons came out in 2018. Anyway, I want to pop back into the game real quick and give you a tour of the finished product. It is called Fairytale Cottage on the gallery. It uses cottage living, university, seasons, get together, romantic garden stuff, and the greenhouse haven kit. So it's honestly not that bad in terms of pack content. A little bit less bad than I thought, but still quite a few packs. It costs 95,000 simoleons, which is pretty expensive. And I built it to be placed right here on Rustic Residence in Windenburg. This is what the finished product looks like when you first load onto the lot. So I'll show you kind of from the front yard first. Here's kind of an overview of all the landscaping and the pretty flowers. Over here is one of those little rabbit homes, so you can have bunnies on this lot. These little things that you're seeing are Firefly VFX. So you don't see them in live mode, you only see them in build mode. In live mode, it'll make fireflies appear at nighttime and the box will go away. Around this side, there's like a little teeny tiny gate so you can get into the backyard. And in this backyard space, we have chickens. I put a wishing well for romantic garden stuff. At first, I was thinking about putting like farmland, like some of those big planters out here in this area, but I decided against it because I felt like we had plenty of space inside of the greenhouse. Like there's a lot of room for plants in here. You don't need to have plants out here too. We have some more little clutter decor items like this cool wagon with some flowers. I have a couple more plants over here that I actually filled up. So there's things like carrots and roses and tulips. I was trying to have a real spring vibe to this house. So everything that I put in these planters grows in the spring. I also put bees and a telescope so your Sims can die. There's a trash can, a grill, and like a little tiny dining table. And that's the whole outside of the house. Oh, I forgot about this. This is the side door. There's a chess table as well. And then if you come inside the house, you'll walk into this little front entryway room. This has the office that I was telling you about. They've got like umbrellas, that little phone item from the rewards event. They also have a thermostat and some art. This is the downstairs bathroom. There's only 2 bathrooms in this house and only one of them has a shower, but this one at least has a toilet in it. You can also access the primary bedroom from this little hallway. So they've got all of this stuff in their room. Kind of has like a green and blue and peach color scheme to it. Back around this side, this is like the main living space for the entire house. So you'll come in through this archway and we have this living room facing the front window. You can see what I meant by it being a little bit off center. I just scooted it over a little bit so your Sims can still walk through right here. And don't worry, I did test it. They can come in here and use this stuff. They've got cross stitch hoops, they have a TV, and then they have a really tiny little dining room. I did put some more gameplay stuff like a guitar here, and then this is the kitchen. As you can see, I ended up leaving the pink appliances. Part of what I don't like about them is that these 2 shades of pink are different. I love the idea of this stove, but it never quite matches the fridge and the other swatches. Do you see how this looks a little bit more green? I don't get it. Why aren't they the same color? It makes no sense to me. They have all the same colors, but they aren't the exact same color. Back this way, we have the like all-purpose room, the skill building room I was telling you about. And then up the little hallway, I put one of those bonsai trees so you can build the flower arranging skill. And then we have a pretty decent sized bathroom that does have a shower tub combo. I was kind of annoyed about this. There's like a weird visual clipping glitch from some of the debug plants outside, but I'm choosing to ignore it because it's floating in the sky, but I am sorry about that if you play here. This is the little teeny tiny nursery room. It is super small, but at least it all fits. And then last we have that kid's bedroom. And they've got another computer up here and they've got like the canopy bed. This could probably pass as a teen's room too. Sometimes when I make rooms like this for Sims that I'm not actually playing with, I'm kind of just like pretending in my head about who might live here. I like to make sort of ambiguous aged rooms. Like this room, a lot of different Sims could live in. They could be a child, they could be older. This could be like grandma's room if you wanted it to be. And then if you were to play here, you could then add toys or like add a certain skill item to fit the specific Sim. But this way it looks nice and kind of could work for anybody. I don't know if that's a good or a bad plan in terms of building, because sometimes I'll go overly themed and like overly specific for the kind of Sim that lives there. But in this house, I was kind of just thinking more vague, I guess. But hopefully you liked the build. I really had so much fun building it and I loved doing the landscaping, as I have told you multiple times today. But on that note, I think I'm gonna wrap this video up right here. We're getting kind of close to the end of my big fundraiser for St. Jude. Next Saturday is the big finale. So if you haven't come over yet to hang out, what the heck? Did those, okay, these things moved themselves down. Those were not lower when I uploaded it, by the way. Anyway, sorry. If you haven't been by to my stream yet, I can link my Twitch down below, and I'll also link our fundraiser page down below. As of recording this video, we are getting really close to $500,000 raised. That is just absolutely wild and unbelievable to me. So like I said, it's all linked for you in case you want to check it out. And I'm gonna catch you all later, okay? Bye, everybody. Oh my goodness. Not to like bring the vibes down, but I forgot that when I built this, I had put that little game room space for my grandma, and my grandma has since passed away like just a few days ago. And I almost made myself start crying when I saw the card table in that room. I need to get it together. I am like honestly not handling this well.